remembering Jimmy Carter, the Wisconsinite, sharing his story of working alongside former President Carter.
Classes start up again at Abundant Life Christian School. How last month's shooting is impacting teachers and students alike.
And plus, appointing a special prosecutor. We have the latest developments into the ongoing animal cruelty investigation at Ridgeland Farms. It's all ahead. News 3 now at 10.
Thanks for joining us at 10, everyone. Former President Jimmy Carter was laid to rest this week at his home in Plains, Georgia. That coincided with a week of remembrance for the 39th president.
And among those who got the opportunity to work with him, former Wisconsin Assembly Speaker, Ambassador Tom Loftus. Our political reporter Will Keneally sat down with him and has more.
Yeah, Ambassador Loftus first met Carter on a campaign stop during the 1976 presidential primary in Wisconsin. Now, it was a wild primary. One of the other candidates in that campaign, Mo Udall, looked like he was going to win Wisconsin by midnight, and that's the headline that the Milwaukee Sentinel ran with. But some rural Wisconsin counties came in by morning to give Carter that win. Now, Loftus was working on that Udall campaign and says it was that Wisconsin primary that put Carter over the top in the Democratic primary overall. When did you first meet the former president?
I met him at the 1976 Democratic presidential primary in Wisconsin. The primary that year was April 6th. Well, a very personal, and I distinguish that from personable. It was very personal. In other words, he made me feel that I was important to him, even though I had spent a year and a half trying to elect Morris Udall.
Carter would actually go on to spend time with Loftus later in the 90s. Loftus hosted the former president at the ambassador's residence in Oslo, Norway, where he says he got to the engineering side of Carter. He'd get to see that come out when he was explaining how the fire escape worked in his room. You can see more from our sit down with Loftus this Sunday at 10:30 on For the Record.
Well, thank you. Now to the weather, and snow is on the way for the Madison region. Oh, look at the patio.
Oh, my goodness, it's not on the way. It's here. Look at Alex out there battling the flurries already.
Hi, sorry. I couldn't help it. We came out here. We have a couple isolated snow showers over southern Wisconsin. One just happens to be right over the studio, and it was coming down at a clip. So, no, this isn't Sunday night quite yet. It is Friday evening out there, and we are tracking more snow, more impactful snow than what I guess we're experiencing right now. It'll probably be quite similar to this as we get into tomorrow night going on into Sunday. We're expecting upwards of 1 inch, maybe 2 inches of snow out of this particular weather event. As we march forward, exactly 24 hours from now, that snow will start to ramp up into what we call the major category, meaning that it's going to be coming down in a decent clip, kind of similar to what you're seeing out here in the patio, but it's not going to last very long. Now, Radar 3000, I meant to zoom on in, but I was even briefly surprised by this when I walked out in the studio, even here in Dane County. As we zoom on in, there's that one snow shower in the southwestern part of the Beltline, just north of Fitchburg, very isolated from downtown right over to maybe just east of Mount Horeb, and then you get this, and it's coming down, and, well, I'm covered in it. So if you are doing any driving yet tonight, you still have to step out. Be prepared. 1 or 2 of these isolated snow showers could come down at a decent clip. They'll reduce visibilities briefly. And what we've got out here out on the patio right now, that definitely will cause a couple of slick spots. Future track dwindles those snow showers by the time we get into the early morning hours with the more appreciable snow coming after a very nice day tomorrow. Upper 20s to near 30 degrees, relatively light winds. Clouds will be on the increase. That's snow on Sunday, but I'm also tracking bitterly cold wind chills for early next week. How cold? I'll let you know in a few minutes.
All right, Alex, thank you. Students at Abundant Life Christian School returned to their classrooms today for the first time since last month's shooting. In a video sent to families ahead of today's return to school, ALCS Principal Doug Butler said staff has been trained to offer trauma-informed care to their students. Experts say trauma isn't in the event, but in the symptoms like depression, and those symptoms can be prolonged, even if the traumatic event itself lasted only minutes.
It's going to take a while for them to reorient themselves to this new understanding or to integrate what's happened into the way that they view themselves.
The Office of School Safety has a crisis response and recovery toolkit to support children and adults after a crisis, and we have links to those resources up right now on channel3000.com.
A deadly crash on the interstate near Beloit backed up traffic today. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation says it happened just before noon. A Rock County Highway Department plow truck was clearing snow from the shoulder of the interstate. A semi-tractor trailer southbound struck the rear passenger side of that plow, causing the tractor trailer to jackknife, and it blocked all southbound interstate traffic. The driver of the semi died. The plow's driver wasn't hurt.
Madison police are reporting 2 incidents where strangers approach students and ask them to get in a car. According to police, both incidents took place near Toki Middle School. The first happened Wednesday near Leland Drive and Balsam Road when a gray or silver sedan pulled over and offered students a ride. The second took place on the same day near Gilbert Road and Dorset Drive when another sedan pulled over and motioned students to get inside. Police do not have any suspects at this time, but say they will patrol the area more as a precaution. PowerSchool, a popular cloud-based software for schools, announces it was hacked on December 28th. The company confirmed the records accessed were part of the student information system and relates to families and educators. The Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction Communications Director says the department was aware of the data breach and that the breach occurred outside the control of school districts.
The man charged in the New Lisbon triple homicide is in jail on a $5 million cash bond. Virgil Thu appeared in Juneau County Court at 2:30 today after New Lisbon police caught him yesterday in Elroy. He's charged with 3 counts of first-degree homicide, one of which has a domestic abuse modifier, 3 counts of hiding a corpse, and several other charges. Just hours before Thu's arraignment, family hosted the funeral for the suspect's late girlfriend, Elizabeth Kolba.
This was very bubbly and bright. Always had a smile and a hug. She brought joy to everybody around her. I tell everybody we lost an earth angel.
Officials also found 13-year-old Skyla Sorensen and a 12-year-old in the home. Family said Kolba and the 12-year-old had a mother-daughter relationship with one another. Thu is expected back in court February 13th.
A dramatic scene played out recently in the drive-thru of a Raising Cane's restaurant in Brookfield. Police tracked a stolen vehicle to the location, but the driver tried to get away. That's when you can see a squad car pin the vehicle. Officers pulled out 2 teenage passengers, one of them a 16-year-old girl who had been reported missing from Milwaukee. Police tased the 21-year-old driver to get him under control. A 22-year-old man ran from the scene and was later arrested. The 2 men were treated for injuries and taken to the Waukesha County Jail.
A Dane County judge has appointed a special prosecutor to investigate animal cruelty allegations at Ridgeland Farms. The appointment follows years of documented cruelty at Ridgeland by both state and federal agencies as part of that investigation, along with animal activist investigators and former employee whistleblowers. Despite years of repeated violations, Ridgeland has never been held liable. Advocates say it's a rare opportunity for accountability there.
It's been years where Ridgeland has been acting with impunity, hurting dogs, and we've just been trying to get the Dogs Day in court. And on October of last year, we finally had that. And I think the judge made the right decision. And so we're feeling very optimistic that this is the first step in getting these dogs home, getting these dogs to loving homes and outside of the horrendous conditions at Ridgeland.
Ridgeland's one of only 2 large breeders of dogs for experimentation in the U.S. The third such breeder, in Vigo, was shuttered after federal agents seized dogs in need of immediate care and then levied the largest fine in the history of animal welfare violations.
Kohl's announced today that it will be closing 27 underperforming stores in 15 states by April, but none of those stores so far are in Wisconsin. The announcement comes as the Menominee Falls-based chain tries to boost profitability and improve sagging sales. The stores closing are just a fraction of Kohl's 1,150 stores.
Governor Tony Evers announcing the State Building Commission has approved critical UW projects. $29 million now heading to the expansion of the UW-Madison Engineering Building, while more than $10 million is going to renovations of Winther Hall at UW-Whitewater. Nearly $5.5 million more will help complete Heritage Hall on the Stout campus. The commission's approval comes as Republican lawmakers had delayed reallocating over $70 million just last month. And the Kalahari Resort in the Dells is growing. Officials say this will be an $85 million project. It'll span some 75,000 square feet. The glass-enclosed open-air water park will feature 3 new water slides, 2 6-person raft slides, along with a 4-lane racing slide. Now, at this time, there's no word on when that expansion will start or when it'll wrap up.
This weekend, Mount Horeb High School is hosting its annual FFA Alumni Toy Show. This is the 32nd year for the event. Over 145 vendors will show off their goods to locals on Sunday. On top of the toy show, there will also be a kids' pedal tractor pull. All of the proceeds from this event go towards Future Farmers of America scholarships and sending FFA students to the Washington Leadership Conference.
FFA is not necessarily about just straight up dairy farming or beef farming or some kind of production like that. It covers vet tech and horticulture as well. So the impact of ag is greater than a lot of people can foresee it as.
The toy show runs from 8:30 to 2:30 on Sunday at Mount Horeb High School. Admission is $3. Children 12 and under get in free. Well, when we come back, Alex has the details on snow and even colder temperatures on the way for Wisconsin.
And wildfires continue to rage along the West Coast. The thousands still under evacuation orders as homes go up in flames.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Firefighters battling the devastating Los Angeles County wildfires are beginning to make a little progress.
But dangerous flame-driving winds are forecast to pick up again this weekend. At least 11 people have now died. Ashley Sharp reports from Pacific Palisades.
As the weekend arrives, firefighters are still battling the most catastrophic wildfires Los Angeles County has ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of people remained evacuated Friday as new fires ignited, threatening more neighborhoods.
We will not stop until the fires are fully contained.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is calling for an independent investigation into the loss of water pressure to local fire hydrants during this week's deadly infernos. Amid growing questions about the planning and response, Newsom also says he wants answers about the reported unavailability of water supplies from a key reservoir. People are trickling in and out of the Family Resource Center here in Pacific Palisades, set up as a central hub for people to report missing family members or get any other help that they need. People from the community are chipping in to help those displaced.
It's overwhelming, and it doesn't take much to help out somebody else.
This video showing a family's terrifying escape from their Los Angeles home moments before it went up in flames has caused an outpouring on social media. The family is coming to grips with their loss.
The times aren't gone, the memories aren't gone, the house is gone, but the love that was in the house, that's still in me.
Friday, Prince Harry and Meghan visited the hard-hit Pasadena, where they comforted those affected by the wildfires and met with first responders. Ashley Sharp, CBS News, Pacific Palisades, California.
Well, it's now estimated that more than 12,000 homes and other structures, including businesses and, of course, vehicles, have been destroyed by these wildfires.
And as residents in Southern California deal with the unimaginable loss, about 17 million people are facing health risks because of the smoke. The area filled with thick smoke and ash is also drifting to neighboring communities beyond Los Angeles. Air quality advisories are in effect as exposure to wildfire smoke can be dangerous.
Less than a month, my lungs weren't even better from the last time. I'm still coughing from the last fire.
There's the PM 2.5, the really small particles that we inhale that can cause inflammation, but there's also a lot of noxious gases and fumes in this wildfire smoke as well, and they both can be irritating to the lungs. The small particles actually can get taken up by the bloodstream. It can actually increase risk for cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, and strokes.
Other groups at high risk for health effects from wildfire smoke include people with respiratory issues, children, the elderly, and pregnant women.
A majority of the Supreme Court appears likely to uphold the controversial TikTok ban. Today, justices heard oral arguments concerning about the social media app's ties to China and free speech protections. In April, Congress passed a law requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company to either sell the app or face it being shut down in the U.S. The law is set to take effect January 19th unless the High Court blocks it temporarily. A final decision on the ban's implementation date could come before the justices resolve any questions about First Amendment rights.
Today, President-elect Donald Trump was formally sentenced in his New York hush money case. In the brief proceeding, Judge Juan Merchan gave Trump an unconditional discharge. Trump will have a criminal record but will not face prison time or probation. Trump had faced up to 4 years in prison for the conviction, but prosecutors agreed to the unconditional discharge after Trump's presidential win.
Now to the forecast with snow on the way. Already we've seen it falling outside, at least over our building, and it's going to get colder in the days ahead, Alex.
Yeah, it was very isolated. I'm going to show that to you in just a moment, and it was really coming down out there. But we got a bigger system that's going to be more widespread for southern Wisconsin, and that's the focus, the Clipper system on Sunday. Timing for this is going to be midnight Sunday through 6 p.m. on Sunday. 1 to 2 inches are possible. I think 1 is going to be the most common number, but some areas isolated 2-inch amounts across southern Wisconsin. Widespread as we see here as we track this with Future Track. Sunday at midnight from Viroqua east to the Dells, all the way over to Juneau, Madison, down to Monroe. Light snow falling across southern Wisconsin. Maybe a moderate band stretching from Monroe, Madison up towards the Green Lake and Marquette County area as we head towards 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. A dry slot builds in from the west. We're on the south side of this Clipper system, which doesn't favor the entire day and the entire evening being with snow. The heavier snow is going to be to the north. In fact, by noon and by the time we get to 6 o'clock, the snow has ended across southern Wisconsin. Again, we're looking at 1-inch common numbers across southern Wisconsin. That isolated 2-inch amount might be over towards Beaver Dam or over towards Jefferson. So this will be one of those impactful snows that you just want to give a little extra time on the road. It's not going to be one of our biggest snows by any stretch of the imagination, but something out there to be mindful of on Sunday. Then the bitter cold comes in behind that Clipper system, which is very common because they come down from Canada and then they tug that cold air down from the Arctic regions, feeling like -8 at 6 a.m. in Madison, but as cold as -15 in the Dells. And look at this as we go into Tuesday morning, -20 to -25 below zero wind chills. If this looks like the trend tomorrow or Sunday, we may need to go for alert day on Tuesday morning just to really highlight that those wind chills are on the dangerous side. There's the really cold stuff here Monday and Tuesday. After a warm day on Sunday at 32, we climb back up to 20 on Wednesday, 35 on Friday, and then we crash. A polar cold front looks like it's going to come through next weekend with falling temperatures, although very not much in the way of snow activity. Here is that snow shower that we were just experiencing right here over the southwestern portion of Madison, right on Raymond Road. This is very heavy snow. I was coming down at 1 inch plus per hour. So if you have any travel still that you need to do tonight, just be careful as you're going down in 14 towards Oregon or maybe heading down towards Janesville if this holds together. It's a heavy snow shower. It's isolated. It's brief, but there have been some special weather statements issued across the upper Midwest for these very intense but isolated snow showers. They're gone, though, by the time we get to 3 o'clock in the morning, so they will dwindle as the evening goes on. 27 right now in Madison right now with that light snow, and temperatures tomorrow, upper 20s. Beautiful day as clouds fill in ahead of that Clipper-like system. That will be here on Sunday. Beyond that, as we just talked, there's the polar plunge for Monday and Tuesday, and we work our way out of the plunge by the end of the week.
And coming up in sports, a border battle beatdown at the Kohl Center. How Wisconsin cruised past Minnesota. That's next on News 3 Now. You can probably guess who Wisconsin's oldest rival is in men's basketball. Minnesota. The first game between the two was way back in 1900. Tonight's edition of the border battle was meeting 212. Badgers on a 7-game win streak against those pesky Gophers. Now, they were down 10 right off the bat, but Stephen Crowell brought his team back. The shimmy shake down low for 2, +1 ties the game up. Wisconsin led by 1 at the break, and then they went on a tear in the second half. Big Steve never lost to his home state, and it'd stay that way. The triple, part of a team-high 18 from him. And speaking of that 3-ball, how about Kamari McGee? First start as a Badger, and he showed out. 15 points, 5 boards, 3 steals, and a pair of assists as Wisconsin makes it 8 straight over Minnesota with ease. Thanks to that monster second half, 80-59 was the final.
Just what we could do better as a team to just make sure we're gelling and not letting them get into any rhythm. So once we had that little break where we could just go together and talk it out in the locker room, I feel like we were more prepared.
It was like, hey, we're getting good looks. We need to crank it up defensively. You know, we need to turn up the pressure on the ball. We need to, and they did that. They got some offense from their defense and got us going a little bit offensively, because I thought we had good looks in the first.
The last time Green Bay went into Philly and won in the playoffs, the season ended with the Packers bringing the Lombardi Trophy back home to Titletown. That year, they entered as the lowest seed in the NFC, just like this year and last year. And speaking of last season, this group knows they can win as the 7th seed because they've done it. But Jordan Love knows their success last year doesn't mean much this time around.
I think it definitely gives you confidence. You know, especially last year, it gave me a lot of confidence. I think just the way we played and executed as an offense, you know, gave us a lot of confidence in that time. But like we said, it's a new faces, it's a new team, and we got to go out there and do it again. You know, we can't live on, you know, what we might have did last year against the Cowboys, things like that.
And a handful of guys with Wisconsin ties were named to the NFL's All-Pro teams. The big one, Quinn Miners. The Broncos' right guard earned a first-team nod. Remember, he played college football at UW-Whitewater and was drafted in the 3rd round. Former Badger Zach Bond was also named first-team All-Pro, while TJ Watt and Andrew Van Ginkel were on the 2nd team. We'll be right back.
Alex is back as we take one more check of the weekend forecast. You got the snow out of your hair.
Yeah, well, it still might be
wet.
a little wet. It still might be wet. We had a very isolated snow shower here, and there's just a couple of them in southern Wisconsin. If you're driving and you, or if you're going to head out and drive yet tonight, and you run into one of these, slow down, because it really
coming down.
Really was coming down. But we do have another bigger widespread system that will bring us an inch of snow from 12 a.m. to about 6 p.m. on Sunday. This is a clipper-like system. 1 inch should be the common number. Some isolated areas north and east of Madison might get 2 inches. Then our attention turns to Monday and Tuesday. Highs barely getting above 10. Overnight low temperatures, notice I just dropped them below 0 for Tuesday morning. Kiddos and folks going to school and work on Tuesday could be looking at 20 below 0 wind chills. But it's brief, at least. That's the good news.
That is good news.
All right. Alex, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a great weekend, everybody. See you back here on Monday.